welcome to this new tutorial. So someone requested that I cover some basic UI stuff, but before we get into that, I would first like to implement critical hit and critical damage. As with our UI, we could display damage number and show critical hits and normal hits as different colors and stuff like that. So let's get right in. So the first thing that I'm gonna do is go to my attribute set and open my attribute set because I want to add two new attributes. I'm gonna place it right here, I guess it's fine. Alright, now that we have our new attributes, we can use this critical chance to determine if we get a critical hit or not. So I'm gonna go to my execution calculation and capture these new attributes that we just created too. Make sure you capture from the source here for both of them. We want our critical chance and our critical damage. Alright, now that we got all the boilerplate stuff taken care of, we can finally work on trying to figure out if we got a crit or not. So I'm gonna make an if statement here. Okay, so what we are doing here is creating a bool to store if we get a critical hit or not, and using the fmath library to get a random number between 0 and 1 and checking if it's less or equal to our source critical chance, which will give us if we got a critical hit or not. Now if we did get a crit, I want to multiply my damage by my source critical damage. So let's do that. So if we set our critical damage to, let's say, 0.2, which would be an increase of 20%, then what it's gonna do is gonna take our damage, it's gonna take 1 plus 0.2, which is gonna be 1.2, so it's gonna multiply our damage by 1.2, so increasing it by 20%. So now what we need to do is to inform the attribute set that we did get a critical hit, so that here in post gameplay execute, when we are processing the damage, we can display the damage as a crit. And to do that is pretty easy actually. We're just gonna use a tag. And the way to do that is I'm gonna actually add the tag to the gameplay effect directly, and then from here access the gameplay effect, which we can get from this data, and check if it has the tag crit on it. If it does have this tag on it, then we know it's a crit. If it doesn't, then it's not a crit. So first thing first, let me just create a new tag, I guess. Now, unfortunately, the gameplay effect spec is a const here. And if you want to be able to add the gameplay tag on it, we have to remove the constants from it. And the way to do that is, first I'm gonna give it a name. I'm gonna call it, let's say, mutable spec, to signify that it can be modified. Then we're gonna do a const cast, which is gonna remove the const from it, which will allow us to modify it. Alright, now we have our mutable spec that we can modify. Let's make sure that it's valid. If it is, then we can add a dynamic granted tags. Let's do add tags, and let's add our hit critical. Alright, so now if we get a hit, we are adding this tag to the gameplay effects spec. Now let's go to our attribute set. In here, let's check if we got a crit or not. So first I'm gonna create a container, a gameplay tag container, and call it granted tags. Now from data, I'm gonna access the effects spec and get all granted tags, which I'm gonna store in granted tags. Oh, I just noticed the typo. Alright, there's no star here. I don't know why I put the star. Anyway, alright, so now we have access to all the granted tags. Now all we need to do is to check if it contains our hit critical. So I'm gonna create a new bool. I'm gonna say be critical equals, let's check the granted tags as tag exact, and we are checking for gameplay tag get. I need the include here for my so the tags, this one, and there should be gameplay tags, hit critical. There we go. So now this boolean is gonna be true if we do have this tag in our granted tags container. So that will let us know if it's a crit or not. So now all I'm gonna do is just let's print a message. Oh, actually, we can use in another debug, I guess. And here we go. If you get a critical hit, we can just display this message on the screen. And I guess let's test this out. Yeah. Alright, now that we are in, I'm going to first go to my gameplay effect, my attributes and secondary, and add 2 new ones here. Since we added critical chance and critical damage. So critical chance, I'm gonna make it a 50% chance of getting a crit. And critical damage, let's multiply our damage by 2. Alright. Now we have that set up. And what's left to do? Well, let's test it now. Now if I hit, let's see if we get a crit or not. Oh, there we go, crit. We did. So let's check this thing. Yeah, critical chance is 0.50, which is 50%, and critical damage, I can see it's 2. So now, every time we hit and we get a crit, we remove. Actually, let me increase this. So 100% crit chance. Now if I hit every time, I should get a crit. Yep, and I do. It's working. Perfect. Alright. So in the next one, we are going to cover the UI stuff and start displaying damage number on the screen and all that. Alright, see you in the next one.